Okay, so welcome. My name is Chris Doherty. I'm from Media Currents, and this is a presentation on Drupal 8 theming. And I put on this first slide new and improved because it's sort of a presentation I gave last summer, late last summer at Drupal Camp Atlanta. So some of you, I know some of you were there. So some of it might be a bit of a rehash, but I intend to put some new stuff in there to address what's new and what I didn't know roughly 10 months ago. So, like I said, I'm going to start with the theming overview, and then just kind of run through like what you need to know about Drupal 8 theming, and then go into a live demo. Because a lot's changed since I last spoke. And one thing is we actually launched a Drupal 8 site a few weeks ago, and there were some inherent challenges in there in terms of getting the content to display the way we wanted to. As typically at Media Current we use panels, and I don't know how many of you use that to help your display, but panels isn't ready for Drupal 8. And neither is Display Suite, which it is now, but it wasn't at the time. So we ended up using entity references and view modes to solve that issue. So I'm going to kind of dive a little bit more deeply into that. And yep, as I said, I'm a senior front-end developer at Media Current. My background is in design. I am not a coder. That's not necessarily in my DNA. I didn't come from that, although I've adopted that, and my Twitter name. And I got to say, I've lived in Atlanta for about 15 years now. I've never been to a Georgia Tech football game, and this is fantastic. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better setting to talk about this. So this is wonderful. I got to. I really. You don't know. I'm a huge football fan. So. Yeah, yeah. I've been to a baseball game here, but not football. So I will change that soon. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, without further ado, so just kind of, I don't know, how many of you all have used Drupal 8, installed it, just kind of try to get a lay of the land? Okay, so probably about a third of you. So I just want to kind of go through some of the higher level things and then drill down a little deeper into theming. But so the core structure has changed a little bit. In your root installation file, you have the themes folder, which is where you put your custom theme. A modules folder where you can put all your contrib and custom modules. And then there's also a core folder that has, among other things, your themes that are like Bartik or Stark or 7 or whatever that come installed with Drupal, and your core modules. So that's a big change. So you don't have to drill down nearly as deeply as you did before, which is nice. And then inside your theme folder, I'll just kind of go through some of the files because some of the names have changed. They're similar to what you're used to with D7 and D6, but it's slightly different. So, for one thing, we've got we use YAML, which is just a file format, a text file format, and so as you can see, it uses the theme name. This is the format theme name.info.yaml. And this kind of sets up all your theme files. So it defines, your theme name. It's like your .info file in D7. Where your style sheets are. You put your regions in here and define those. Also libraries for if use that for JavaScript libraries that are in the theme, and also you can put your style sheets in there too. And then this is the libraries, and I'm just showing here just kind of a high level. We've got this namespace for whatever functionality you want to name it, and then version, and then the dependent JavaScript files. again, feel free to stop me. I don't know how familiar you are, or if you want to like focus on something in specific. I'll just, I'll go through this like I'm double parked outside. So if you want to, like, be like, wait a minute, what does that mean? Just feel free to stop me. And then the theme name.theme file is what used to be like the template.php. So all your template preprocessing goes in here. Yes, Adele? Okay, so it's in the root of your theme folder. Theme name, and then the next level down. Yep. Kevin?
Question about this. So when you say theme name there, that would be whatever the name of your theme was.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it.
Correct. Yep.
Can you back up to the previous slide then? On those two things, would that also be where you say theme, you mean theme name?
Yes, that's the theme name. Yep. Yep, you're right. Sorry about that. Little inconsistency. Yeah, you're correct. And then I'm sure all you know, but the biggest change I think in D8 theming wise is Twig, which if you haven't had a chance to play around with it, it's pretty awesome, and it replaces PHP template, which wasn't so awesome. It's billed as secure, fast, and flexible. It's really nice, and when I get into the live demo part, I'll show you a little bit more of what it looks like. I'll start to get into it here, but I'll show you what it can do. And then it's well documented. It's been out there for a while before Drupal 8 adopted it, so it's somewhat bulletproof now. I'll just going to get into some of the a little bit of the syntax, and it's really pretty straightforward. So printing variables in Twig is as easy as putting 2 curly brackets around each side and putting the variable name in between there with a space on each side. That's all it is. So if you put this in your template with the variable name inside, it will print. Comments, similar. You got the pound sign on each side, and then you put your comments in there. And then if you have a function, like a statement, it goes in a single curly bracket with % signs. We'll get into that a little bit more. So you can do like conditionals, like if-then statements, or you can do loops and that sort of thing. So, so as I said, variables can be accessed directly. And I'm just showing you here. So this is the content variable, which is very common in your node template. This will print all your content. You can also drill down into that. I'll show you that later. And then the div here, if you put that div attributes, it will print the classes that are associated with that. And then, as I said, there are conditional statements. So an if statement there are several ways you can construct it, but if and end if, but you can also put if else or if else if. So you can have multiple conditionals in one statement. And then, like I said, the loop, so you could do like a for and for loop as well.
Question.
Yes.
What's the scope of the variable?
Good question. You have there. I'll show you in the template file, but each template file has specific variables that are pertinent to that particular file. So, like a node has different variables that are associated. Off the top of my head, I can't name them all, but I can show you just kind of a list. There is also a dump function in which you can print the variables that are available to that template. However, it's somewhat of a problem because you can't control the scope. Sometimes it'll cause your machine to crash or your site to crash. You'll get a white screen. But there are other. I can dig it up, but there are other ways to print out like a list of the variables in a particular template. So you can write a little. It's on the Drupal.org site, but you can write a little. Unordered list showing you all the variables that are in a particular. So you could put it in a node Twig template or a page Twig template, and you can see what's available to you. and I'll show you that later. But good question. And one of the other sort of new functions, and it's a little bit more complicated. I'm not going to get into it too much, but is the notion of blocks and extends. And so you can actually have set up in one of your template files a block, which is just and you can namespace it. I have a block name, but you can call it whatever you want. And you can use that to, well, you can basically, with an extends, you can pull data from another template into that block. So in the template with the extends, you have a second, you have a second set of the block tags in there. So I can say, let's say I have a node, main node template, and I want to extend it with article information that's only on the article. I can define this block name in the article, in the main node template, and then I can have a child template and a twig template in there for articles, and say extends, this file, the node.twig.html.twig, and I'm going to inject this data from that into this. So, and then I just thought this was a sort of a useful slide, just because I don't know how easy it is to read from there, but I just think it just kind of illustrates how clean Twig is, and just much simpler to use. So you have Twig on the right here, and PHP template on the left, and it's just much easier to scan, much easier to read, etc. And then, as I pointed out before, we have this core folder inside your root of your Drupal installation in Drupal 8, and you have, you can find Twig templates everywhere, including in your theme files, but also there are a lot that are located inside core module system templates. There are 40 there. There's some in views, for example. So if you ever need to override a particular template, that's where you'll find those things. So yeah, I want to get into a little bit more. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me. I have my text editor open. I've got my browser open, so I can show you a few things. But like I said, I want to focus a little bit on the entity reference display mode method for creating pages. So the key thing here is I'm showing here in this theme that I've created just for this presentation, I've got 3 regions. I've got a header, a main content area, and a footer. That's it. But we need something that is a little bit more flexible. So I'm just showing you this, how we can use, this is the content area. These are not regions. This is still one region here, but we're going to divide it up using entity references and display modes. And essentially entity references, and have you all used those in D7? We have a show of hands. So a lot of people are familiar with it. It's just a way you can add a field that references another content type. There are also block references. There are also view references as well. Similar kind of idea. But the way it works is you go into your template that has a entity reference, and you can select a particular piece of content that you want to associate with this other piece of content. So this is, something like this at Media Current, we use panels a lot. Like I said, on this particular site we just launched, panels was not available. So we had to come up with another solution. So I'm just going to kind of walk through that. But again, it's very open. Let me know if you have any questions, if you see anything while we're going through the code or whatnot, or the admin screens. Just stop me. And this is really more for me, just because it can get kind of complicated, and I may need to refer to this slide later if I forget what I'm doing. So what I've done is I've actually set up a theme and I've set up two content types. One is a basic page, one is a feature, and the feature is what I'm going to use. So the page has the entity reference, and it's going to refer to the features that I'm going to bring into the page. So yeah, so there's essentially three steps. I'm going to add the content to the entity references. I've created the content already. Then I'm going to create the view modes, and then add the view modes. I've been using view modes, display modes. It's kind of the same thing. View modes is the new terminology in Drupal 8 for what was display modes. It's essentially the same thing.
Did you guys find any pros to using the entity reference plus the view modes versus other panels, like you were saying? Any benefits you guys found from using those methods?
I would say, I mean, we were using more than just entity references. We were using block and view references. So, what would be? I mean, I think, you know, in this particular case, it was a little bit more flexible. You know, the theme was, you know, there were a lot of little moving parts, and it was, I think it was easier to use this than panels for this particular client. I mean, I think overall, I wish we had panels. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, because it gets hairy because there were instances where we were using entity references that were pointing to field collections. And so field collections get really complicated. So it was, I referred to this as like inception, because we're looking at a page, and then we have a field collection that is made up of other pages. And as a themer, it was making me bananas, because you've got all the same classes kind of, you know, 3 or 4 levels deep. So I don't know if I answered your question. Okay. All right. Yes. Sure. You know, I did not know about paragraphs. Is that, Derek was just telling me about it right before this meeting.
I don't believe it's D8 ready, maybe? Is there a module for D8?
Is it?
Is there a version in D8
Is that
yet?
like the, yeah, is it like the alternative to field collections? That's not as awful.
Yeah, paragraphs is wonderful, especially if you need revisioning. Because any references do not work with revisioning. So if you're using ECK or field collection or anything else that's an entity, and attaching it to, say, a node or something like that, you don't get revision. You can't do revisioning. With paragraphs, you can. One limitation that we haven't gotten around yet is using paragraphs with something like workbench access or workbench moderate. Well, it would work with moderation, but when there's some access control things going on, there's still some funkiness. But paragraphs is a really cool thing that I think we're going to be using a lot more of. So.
And you said it is D8 ready for sure? Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not positive that that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one of the things I did look at was display suite. I mean, I don't use that a lot, but every time I installed it, it crashed my local, and I was just like, you know what, this is. Apparently, yeah, it's stable now. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, this was. Yeah, how about this? Like a week after we launched, you know, display suite was ready for use. So, all right. So yeah, I'm going to jump in and show you. So I have this theme here. I'm going to close my. So it's pretty simple. Like I said, I've set up the content. I have, you know, this is header, this is main content, and then this is footer in the gray. Just try to keep it simple. And so this, like I said, I've got 2 content types. I'll just kind of drill down and show you. I've got I have 3, but I'm not using article. I have basic page and feature content. And I have already created several pages and several pieces of feature content. And like I said, the feature content is what I'm going to add to each page. And one of the things that's nice about, actually this kind of gets into it, but one of the things that's nice about using the entity reference in display modes is you can change pretty easily, I mean, obviously the display and what data you can pull in from that entity reference using display modes. So we'll get into that. So Let's see. So this is roughly a home page. So, oh, actually, yeah, I'm going to add the content first. So, yep, this is a page. So this is what the entity reference looks like. So I have this one called Sidebar, which is what you saw in the orange, and I'm calling this main content. This is the area that will appear below it. So I'm gonna do. So these are two different features that I'm adding to this. Okay, so it just shows you it's pretty straightforward. Just the content appears there like a field, no big deal. Let's see. So maybe I should show you the what that looks like on the page. So if I go into the content type and basic page, so it's like I said, it's just a field similar to anything else, but it is called an entity reference. And then what we want to do is add view modes to these. So right now it's just using a default display for these. And if I go to here, I can create under display modes and drill down into view modes. I'm going to create new view modes. So actually, I just want to bear with me. I save the names of these just so I wouldn't mess up here. So main content. Okay, so content, and then you just add a name. It's really simple. There's nothing else to it. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, all you really do here is you just name it. So I need two. So sorry, I've got training wheels on this presentation because I know live demos can go off the rails pretty easily. So all right, so I've added those two display modes, and what I can do is if we go back to the content types, I can do, well, first I'll do this. I'll add manage display, and I'm going to add those two display modes. So this is, just to slow down a little bit, this is the feature content, which is a, if you recall, this is the data that I'm bringing into a page. And I want to, I want to add the display modes here. So I'm going to add the two I added, so main content and sidebar. Hit save. And as you can see, it adds two new, oh, sorry, Del. Oh, sure, yeah. So it is a, let's see, you've all seen the teaser view in Drupal. Teaser is just a type of display mode. So you can actually set up custom versions of content types to show the data that you want to show. And you can, as you can see here, so this is the default, but if I go here, I can change the order. I can say, no, I don't want to show the body on that, or I don't want to show the photo on that. So you can do all those things with a display mode. I don't know, does that help you all? And then, so right now I'm just setting these up. So I'm going to hide the labels. I've got an image. I've got the body. Save. Boom. So that's, I set up the display mode for the feature content, but I also have to do it for the page as well. Not to change the display mode itself, but on the default display, I want to set how these are going to be rendered. So, or what display mode appears where. So I've got this sidebar entity reference, and I'm going to apply that, the sidebar view mode to that. And I'm going to do the same for this, except I'm going to use the main content area. So, click save. So is everyone with me so far? And I am also going to, so this is my text editor. I've got this YAML file, I've got the theme file, which I'm not using. And I'll just go into the Twig templates right now. So this is just the feature content Twig template. And this is what I was saying to you earlier, is that in the Twig template, in the notes, on the comments above it, it shows all the default variables that are available to you. So it's a handy little reference. Like I said, you can also go back and use like the dump, or the dump function, but use it sparingly. And so what I'm showing here is I've got this feature content, and I can put conditional statements here. Can you all read that? Should I blow up the text a little bit? All right. So this is all it is. So I've got this conditional statement. So if view underscore mode equals sidebar view mode, I'm going to show this photo. Otherwise, it won't show it. So for a sidebar view mode for this particular, for the feature content type, it will show a photo. For the main content type, it will not. They're all going to have this H2 with the title, and this is what I brought it up earlier. So I showed the content variable, but you can drill down into that and show specific aspects of that. So I'm showing only the body variable within that, body attribute within that content. So it's just going to show all the body text. And then I also have this this node html.twig file, and this is what I'm using for the page. And this just has, this has a lot more markup in it, as you can see, because it's outputting the entire node within the page. One thing else also I probably should show you, which is really cool, and it's really helpful for themers, is the debugging tool in Twig, which is amazing. I'll blow this up again. So we've got, in the settings file, I have debugging turned on. So I can select, I'll just pull this up a little bit. So I've got these, like I said, I've got debugging turned on, and I select this one particular area in my text editor, or my browser, and it shows me file names that I can use to override that particular field in this case. But if I go up further, I can show you that you can do it for nodes. You can also do it for the page template. It's really awesome. Okay, I'll show you. So I'm going to go up into sites, and it default. So this is just the path, just so you can see, is just DA custom is the root, sites default, drilling down, and I believe it's in services. Yeah, so services file is a new one. It's services.yaml, and all you gotta do is turn on debug twig, and it will, you don't want to have this on production, but it will show all these templates.
You want to let know what it is in Drupal 7? The conf variable in Drupal 7 is just theme_debug, and you get all that same stuff. It's magical, really nice.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Just
wow.
a conf variable in your settings file.
Oh, okay. Sorry? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. This was new to me. I thought it was pretty amazing. And you can also, in that same services folder, you can turn off, you can put on auto reload and caching false. And what that does is it allows you to make changes to your Twig templates, and you don't have to clear the cache every time. You just save it and refresh your page, and the Twig templates will change it as you save them. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Going off on a tangent here a little bit, but so here's the deal. So if you recall, in the template or in the display mode or view mode for this particular content type, manage display. So this is the feature, and if I go into main area view mode, I turn off photos. So that's exactly what you see here. So, like I said, you have a lot, in my opinion, you have a little bit more control over the presentation in the output, and the photo shows up here. So you can do all kinds of things. Like you could create different display modes for for a single content type. And this is, I could change this around, and so show, you can imagine the flexibility. Like you could have different, you could have much more complicated content types with a lot of different fields, and you could pull different fields, and they would look nothing alike, really. I mean, if you wanted to. So what else did I want to show? I'm going to go back to my presentation because, and so we got the view modes and the content type displays. So yeah, I'm just right now I'm just going to go ahead and add these into place. So we've got these, again, the picture on the right, and then the more simplified one in the bottom where there's no image. And I think I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to cover. I don't know if you guys want to all look at Twig a little bit closer, or if there's anything else in the theming that we covered that you want to look at more closely. Or if you have any questions, it could be anything.
I want to see the Twig file a little bit closer to see how you define, to understand how you define the different regions for that.
Oh, for the okay. So regions, not regions, but because regions are in the page template, but you want to see for the fields that are the reference. Okay, okay, yeah. That's a good point. I meant to cover that. So so this is the node, and I'll just go back here, manage fields. Actually, I want to do the page. So this is where you get your variable that you're going to use in your Twig template, and again to get to that variable in the node template, it's content dot field main content reference, or whatever you decide to name it. So so here it is. So what I've done is I put this in one wrapper. We've got the body, which is this. Let me go to the page that has it. So we've got the body, which is this. We've got this main content reference, which is in the gray, and then I have this in a separate wrapper for the sidebar. And the only reason I did it, I was just using Flexbox. I don't know if you all have used that, but I was using it to lay out this page because I wanted to make things align perfectly. So so yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. And then yeah, I just added classes in the attributes there, and then added my variables beneath that. So is that what you want to see? Okay. I don't know. Oh, wait. Anyone else?
So I saw you use the node for the feature content.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that idea of the feature sub-entity that you're reusing and placing around. But given that it doesn't seem like those feature entities would really need a landing page and all the extra overhead that comes with nodes, did you consider using, if the architect considered using blocks? Because blocks are entities as well as bundles, you can basically do everything the same way. It just seems like a better fit with blocks if I'm designing it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so going back to a real world example, we did use blocks and we did use fields and we used views references. The reason we needed all three was because they were pulling data from, like an article or another piece of content literally into another page. So I mean, blocks are kind of like one-offs. So you would, you create a block and you add content to it. But some of these, these actual items did have a full node display for that in that particular case. So we were using both.
Okay.
So like I said, we had we actually, I mean, if I showed you this, your head would explode. But we had stacks of these references. So we had, we'd have a entity reference, a view reference, a block reference, all stacked on top of each other, and you could pull it in dynamically. But yeah, that is a good point. That is a good point. But and there were other things too, like I'm not showing it here, but so this this is the feature content. It's just like I said, it's a very simple template versus this, which is rendering an entire full node display. But because of the inheritance, we can get away with this. We can have the feature content twig file, and then we can have a node twig file that will render everything except for the feature content, because of this naming system, it will override. So just to go back to that, I'll just show. Let's see. So we got field. Sorry, it's a little unwieldy here. Not sidebar. Yeah. Wait, how's that working? So this is. I think this has to go down further. It gets really complicated. Yeah. So here's where it is. So I'm using this node -- feature content.html.twig, and then the important thing to remember is that the higher up in this order, it's more specific, but it also has what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, it will look to this first before this, so specific before general. I don't know. Is there anything else you all wanted to? Yes. Sorry, the what scenario? Oh, yeah. So initially, I created this pres and we called it 1 hour theming because I wanted to, I really wanted to show basically how easy it was to set up a theme, and not necessarily a sub-theme in the way you may be used to it with like Omega or something like that. But yeah, I'll just go back to that. So in the info.yaml file, this is actually using a base theme called Classy, and there are essentially, I mean, I guess Omega ultimately is going to be, you can use it the same way you're used to using it. I don't think, I think it's going to go away though. I think that approach is going to go away just because it's so much easier to create your own themes, and not, I mean, it's a sub-theme technically, but it's really not. Just using, just by pulling in Twig templates as you go. So, you know, like if we, you know, if you go to the folder structure, I mean, really the only thing you need to set up a new theme is this info.yaml file. I mean, you can create that, and you'll see the theme in your appearances admin screens. Yeah, just to get back to this, so you can create a base theme that's based on Classy, which there was sort of a schism, I guess, last year at DrupalCon in Austin, where you know, people wanted a really, really stripped down version of a theme where they didn't want all these classes and things that they're going to have to override in Drupal 8. And then there were people like, well, you know, there should be, for starters, there should be somewhat, you know, something where it does import those classes. They're helpful, you know, for markup, and if you need to get rid of them, you can do that too. So yeah, so there's essentially two things. There's Classy and there's Stark. And Stark, I don't think is quite ready yet. I haven't used it, but Stark is the version that doesn't have all the classes, and you can use that. You can build a theme, and you know, and create your own classes and your own markup. I don't know. Does that answer your question? I mean, like.
Yeah, it does. You did mention Omega because in the past we've had to choose a base theme and laptop and
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I've used Omega extensively, but I feel like every time you open Omega and you start a new subtheme, you're overriding classes again, right? I mean, so I mean, here you got like kind of a fresh start. I mean, I mean, it can be, you know, as clean as you want it if you use Stark, but I don't know. I'm starting to question whether, you know, maybe there are things in Omega that are useful that we can pull in, but I question whether it's going to be valuable for themers going forward. I don't know. Be interested to see. Yes.
I'm running some EC7 with a certain number of my sites, and that convoluted div, class, this, that, and other. And I've put fences in on the site. It's reasonable because we're trying to apply something right here, and everything is items under that. I mean, there's items here, and there's items right here, and there's items right here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do something with items, and it's just cascading through the whole chain.
Right. Right.
So I put fences in the other day to try. Have we abandoned that convoluted div thing?
Divitis.
Yet within Drupal? Is it gone yet?
Well, here's the thing. So what I ended up doing was a lot of those divs were in the field templates, and so because the field structure is such that you have every field would have a div with a label inside it. I mean, how many times do you use a label for a field? And then another div inside that which has field items. So in case you have multiple, so it has that loop in there, and then field item. And okay, so none of these are semantic, right? Terms, and then it just gets in your way. So you can actually you could start clean and create a very stripped down base field Twig template. Let me open that up and show you what it looks like. But you can create. I'm just using fields as an example, but you can do it with nodes. You can do it with page, whatever you want. So where was I going to go? Yeah, so core, and I'll just open up the themes and just show you what some of these things look like. So Bartik is good. Got the templates. So let's see. I've got to find a field template. Maybe I'll go into. Yeah, here's the field Twig template. So this is in the system folder in modules. So this is what I was talking about, like just to use fields as an example, is you have all this stuff that is there for a reason, but I mean, you know what you're going to develop, you know how you work. This stuff is just going to get in my way later on. So I would, you can create in your theme, you can overwrite this field template, and you can actually reverse it, right? So if I create I could strip out, I don't need labels, I don't need this div. I can just strip out what absolutely what I don't need here. So we got this, that goes away. I don't want this because I'm only going to use one instance of this field at one time. Field item, maybe I'll keep this div, but I want to call it something else, like quote, something meaningful, right? So already I've got a much cleaner, and look, I don't even need that when come to think of it. So already I've got this much cleaner markup, and I could use this, I could use this as a starting point and override every template, and then in the one-offs where I need a label or I need multiple fields, I can create those, I can go into my debug and say, just to go back to this, for this particular field, let's see, here, I'm going to need a label. So I've got this photo, and I need to put special markup, and then, so like I said, you're just kind of flipping things. So yeah, like I said, you could do it for anything, really. You could do it for your node templates, your page template, whatever you want, which is great. It's much more liberating. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, my sense is that I have not used Stark, but my sense is that you could use Stark and it wouldn't have any of that. Well, yeah, actually that's true because this is a field template. Yeah. There are other, system is one place to look, but views, it's, you're still going to find those there. And right. Right. Well, I mean, like I said, it would be easy to do it once and create your own, your own theme and just work from that. Like I just used the fields as an example, but you could get rid of all those divs that you don't want. Yeah. See, this is the Stark template, but as you can see, it doesn't have the templates in place yet. But it'll be interesting to see how this develops as it kind of builds. But yeah, I have this. Look, I have the same frustration. You open up your debugger and you're just constantly clicking to get to a specific. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and that goes back to like the question before about panels. That's like, I like panels, but man, you've not seen divs until you use panels because it just, I mean, you're overwhelmed with that stuff. So, but yeah, I definitely feel your pain, man. Anything else? I covered a lot of ground. I don't know if oh, yes. Well, not really. I mean, there's still like hook form in your theme template, or yeah, theme dot, what is that full file called? Theme dot template, I think it's called. Theme dot template. And so you'll still use that, but and you know, and on the Manhattan site that I worked on that I referenced, we ended up having to do a lot of like template pre-processing. There were just things that, you know, Twig is great, but there were things that really weren't quite working, especially with entity references. So it was hard to check. I mean, it wasn't hard. It just didn't work. We couldn't find a way to check if someone had, you know, if an entity reference field had been had content in it. I mean, there's ways, you know, you can write an if statement if field name is not empty, you know, for like a text field. But for whatever reason, entity references weren't working quite the same way. So, yeah, I think so. Let me open. I mean, I don't have it in this particular project, but I will open up. I'm gonna close some of this stuff up. Yeah, sorry. All right, so this is the theme, the dot theme file. Is it legible for you all, or should I blow it up a little more? So this is what I was saying. Like, you know, we were creating variables to check if a specific, and these are, in some cases, I mean, this here is an entity reference here. So it's checking if, it's going to show this left sidebar if these fields are populated. But like I said, we couldn't figure out a way to do that in the Twig file itself, so we had to do pre-processing like that. So it is. It was just for entity references for some reason. Like I said, fields, great, you're good. But entity references, you know, couldn't get it to work. I don't know if it's something that's being worked on in D8 and will be fixed soon. I mean, it's still in beta, but yeah, you're right. I mean, I mean, in theory, the conditionals are there to check those kinds of things. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Eric, did that answer your question? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the hook theme and the syntax in your .theme file is very similar to what you're used to in D7 as well. So I guess it's good and bad, right? Yes.
I haven't started playing with this much yet, but what do you say, hey, download this thing and just see what the final classes? Is there one yet, or is it pretty much?
I would say roll your own. I mean, you know, I worked with another themer on this particular project, and you know, we took a few things from Bartik just to use as a starting point. I mean, actually, that's a good way to go. Is to look at what's in core and see how. I haven't looked at any contrib themes. I think I installed Omega or Zen, and one of them crashed. You know, right off the bat, I couldn't get it to work properly. I don't know. I'm a fan of just starting your own now. I mean, yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think it's easy to get started, like I said, and you can learn a lot by looking at some of those core themes. Anything else? Hopefully this was. I mean, I kind of jumped all over the place. I don't know if you know. I feel like maybe someone got something out of this, but. Thank you.
I'm just a fan. I really like that MG reference placement approach. Like I know it was a pain in the butt to develop, and probably not the best content editing experience, but it's a pretty neat thing. The power that you have. This